For demonstration purposes, I've taken 4 pictures of my glue bottle. I didn't have a piece of paper handy. This is daytime, this is noon. I've got these short, very dark shadows here. Here's my interior daytime. There's my interior evening, and my morning is actually really disappointing to me because instead of a beautiful sunrise, it happened to be a rainy day. But I'm going to take it and I'm going to work with it. What I am going to do here is make a new document, and it doesn't have to be too big. I might go for, we'll just go US paper and we'll make a letter size one. You never know, maybe my crazy teacher will want me to print this at some point. I won't, but you never know. Now I'm going to take these, and I really only need the glue bottle part, so I will copy this and then paste it over here. I'll move that up into that corner, and I'm going to change the name of the layer so I remember. This is Noon Exterior. And now I can close this so that I don't get confused. Here's my daytime interior. Ooh, that's really big. I will use Control T and scale that down. It looks a little bit nicer. I will probably have to do more scaling with all of these anyway, but I'll put that there. So this is Noon Interior. Next, I've got my evening interior. Copy that, paste it over here. Again, Control T, and I can scale it down. Beautiful. Press Enter, and now I can rename the layer, Evening Interior. Here's the last one. This is my very disappointing morning shot. I will Control C to copy, Control V to paste, use my Move tool to put it in this lowest corner, and Control T to scale it down. Perfect. This will be Evening Exterior. Next, I will come in with my text tool so that I can start labeling these. This is Noon Exterior. That is a little bit small. My teacher is old and blind. She's never going to be able to read that. So I'll just take this whole thing and make it a little bit bigger. 48 points is too big. Let's try 30. And now I've got to figure out what kind of color temperature it is. To help me with this, I'm going to go to Window, Info. And now what's going to happen is, as I hover my mouse over this, I will start to get a sense of whether this is more red or more blue simply by looking over here. I've got my eyedropper set to 32-bit, which means that I'm going to see a range between 0 and 1. You may be set to 8-bit by default, in which case you will see between 0 and 255. I prefer 32-bit. You do what works best for you. So as I hover over the whitest part here, I can see that I'm a little bit more blue. I've got a little bit of green, and while there is a lot of red because the color is close to white, it's not as much as the blue. So this is a more blue color. I remember from my Kelvin chart that blues are probably around 8,000. So I can come back into my text tool. I can come back over here and I can say approx 8,000 I'll do this one more time just so you get the sense of it. I'll come over here and do the other really easy one. This is the night interior. So we'll say night interior. And then I'll just hover my mouse around over here. And in this case, I'm seeing a lot more red. I'm seeing a little bit more green and a little bit less blue. So I'm somewhere in the orange family. If I go back to my Kelvin chart, that means that this is probably around, let's say, 4,000 degrees Kelvin. When I've done all 4 of these, and I've got an approximate Kelvin degree for each of them, I'm going to go to the File menu and Save As. And I'm going to save this not as a PSD, but either as a JPEG or as a PNG, because those will allow me to smack all of my layers together and hand this in as a single piece. So that's how I want this project done. It should be nice and simple. It'll take you a day or 2, and then all you have to do is go through in Photoshop and think a little bit about what Kelvin means.